Hi, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. We are going through classroom series of modern Indian history. Okay? Like many of you have a question, sir, we have already covered modern Indian history. My friends, we have covered ancient Indian history as a part of YouTube series. Similarly, we have covered medieval India in quite depth and detail. Similarly, I have also covered modern India. Okay? But that modern India, it is in the format of a PPT, wherein I have tried to cover things specifically from the perspective of basics. Here I am going in quite depth and detail as a part of classroom series, as how I go in the paid classes. Okay? So by now, we have covered the Portuguese. We have covered specifically the Dutch East India Company, English East India Company. Today, I'm going to talk about the French East India Company and the most important one, the Carnatic Wars. Okay, precisely, I would be throwing light majorly on First and Second Carnatic War. Okay, it is also referred as Anglo-French Wars. So here you have to listen to me patiently during the Carnatic Wars. And there's a reason behind that. Because if you do not listen to me patiently, I'm pretty sure you will forget about all the characters. Because there are many characters. Okay, I have penned them down on the board for easier understanding of the concept. Now let me give you a short glimpse of this. Okay, see, these are the characters. So until unless you listen to me patiently, carefully, okay, you won't be able to understand the entire concept of the Carnatic Wars. Okay, so before we go for the Carnatic Wars, let me talk about the French East India Company. Because we have already covered the Dutch East India Company, English East India Company, and the Portuguese. One more important fact to be noted down. Okay, in Portuguese, I forgot to tell you about this. Portuguese were the first to introduce tobacco in India. Okay, now, around 1643, the period from 1643 to 1714, 1715, the region of France was being ruled by King Louis XIV. And King Louis XIV had a very good minister. He was quite experienced. His name was Colbert. So Colbert, this minister, suggested to King Louis XIV that there are so many countries of Europe who are trading in the East and India specifically and accruing surplus amount of profit. So why don't we specifically, we start our own company. We support our own merchants. We support them in their voyages so that we can also accrue huge amount of profit. He gave the example of the Portuguese. He gave the example of Dutch East India Company and English East India Company. King Louis XIV, he said that, well, it's a beautiful idea, but do you have any plan? Because already the region of East Indies, there are many European powers that are trading there. How can we get the profit? And obviously, the profit margin will be high when there is a monopoly. So do you have any plan for this? Colbert said, yes, I have a plan. So Louis XIV said, what is the plan? He said that we won't directly go to India. We won't directly go to the East Indies or Southeast Asia. First of all, we will go to Cape of Good Hope. Our merchants will go to Cape of Good Hope. From there, they will circumnavigate the region of Cape of Good Hope and then go to Madagascar. Okay? And from Madagascar, specifically, like I'll show you the location of Madagascar. Just give me a second so that for easier understanding of the concept, things would become quite easier for you. Just a second, guys. Madagascar on map. Correct. So, this is a world map specifically. And my friends, just a second, okay, hold on. So, they had a plan what? They will go to specifically this region, Cape of Good Hope. And after Cape of Good Hope, here comes a place called as Mossel Bay. And when they will cross Mossel Bay, this is a small island country which is referred as Madagascar. Okay? So what did Colbert suggest? Colbert suggested one simple thing. We will circumnavigate the, what we say, Cape of Good Hope and Mossel Bay and then reach Madagascar. And from here, we will send ships to India and Southeast Asia. This is how our trade will prosper. So this was a suggestion that was being given by whom? This was a suggestion that was being given by Colbert to the King Louis XIV. And he loved this plan. He said that the plan is very good. In 1664, this led to the formation of a company, which is referred as Campagne de Indies Orientalis. I repeat, Campagne de Indies Orientalis, which is also referred as French East India Company. Now, as per the plan, French East India Company was given the monopoly to trade over the region of Pacific Ocean and India for the next 50 years. No other company of France would be trading in this region. Correct? Now, they started moving as per the plan. What was the plan? They will circumnavigate the Cape of Good Hope and Mossel Bay and make Madagascar as their base. They did this so, but they were not successful. Why? They had to face a lot of skirmishes with other European powers. Obviously, my friends, when you are trying to establish monopoly over trade in India or in East Indies, and there are other European powers who are holding or having a strong command over the trade in this region, obviously what will happen? They won't allow you to sustain. So they spent a lot of money. Campagne de Indies Orientalis, that is French East India Company, they spent a lot of money, but their entire efforts were futile. Zero output. So now they decided that this won't sustain now. We have to directly lead a naval expedition to India. Around 1667, Francis Caron, he landed at the region of Surat, in the region of Surat. And here he established his first French factory at Surat. Skirmishes begins here itself, my friends. Why? At Surat already there was a factory of English East India Company. So he established, like Francis Caron, he came along with a fleet of French ships and he established his first factory at Surat. And at this time, the Mughal emperor was Aurangzeb, Alamgir. And Alamgir Aurangzeb supported the French East India Company in establishing their first factory at Surat. After some time, they established their factory at Masulipatanam. And my friends, as I've told you, Dutch East India Company established their first factory at Masulipatanam. So in Surat, obviously they are going to face skirmishes with English East India Company. And in the region of Masulipatanam, they are going to face skirmishes with Dutch East India Company. My friends, those who are new to the platform or watching my videos for the first time, I would request you guys to please watch the previous videos so that you can easily correlate and connect the things. Okay? So, pay attention. They established their first factory in the region of Surat. 2 years later, they established their factory at Masulipatanam. In fact, it is said that here in the region of Masulipatanam, there was a rule of Abdullah Qutub Shah. So Qutub Shahi dynasty, it was formed after the disintegration of Bahamani Sultanate. Okay, so Abdullah Qutub Shah, he had helped out specifically whom? The French East India Company in establishing their factory at Masulipatanam. And the major role here was being played by Francois Martin. He was a director of Masulipatanam. Clear? As I have told you, Masulipatanam was also one of the permanent bases of Dutch East India Company in India. So the period from 1669 to 1713, there was a lot of skirmishes between Dutch East India Company and whom? French East India Company. In fact, it is said that later on Surat and Masulipatanam, they were being abandoned By whom? The French East India Company. But French East India Company had established a place called as Pondicherry. They had established themselves at a place called as Pondicherry. How? As I've told you, the director of Masulipattnam was Francois Martin. And he wanted a place where he can keep his soldiers, where he can keep the families of the soldiers and the workers who are working in the region of Masulipattnam and Surat. So, he asked a local governor. Okay, specifically speaking, he asked the governor of Valaikondapuram in the region of Bijapur, whose name was Sher Khan Lodi. And Sher Khan Lodi assisted Francois Martin in settling down in the region of Pondicherry. So French got settled in Pondicherry. Masulipattnam was being reacquired by the Dutch East India Company. Surat, it was lost to English East India Company. Meanwhile, it is also said that French East India Company also established their factories at Chandranagar in Bengal and in the region of Hooghly. Herein, they were being assisted by Shaista Khan, who was one of the governors and maternal uncle of Aurangzeb. Okay? Now, what happened? It is said that around 1697, Dutch East India Company attacked the region of Pondicherry and also acquired Pondicherry from French. So, French were left with nothing in India. Correct? Finally, what happened? A treaty was signed, and that treaty is called as Treaty of Ryswick around 1697. And Ryswick, it's a city located in Netherlands. Like actually, it was a 9 years long war that was going on between the French and a grand alliance of Dutch, Spain, and England. Okay, so on one side were Dutch, Spain, and England. On the other hand were French. So as per Treaty of Ryswick, there was a settlement that reached. And as per this settlement, Dutch East India Company gave the region of Pondicherry back to French East India Company. Is it clear, my friends? Okay. I have tried to explain the things in a gradual step-by-step manner for easier understanding of the concept. Okay? Again, within next 1 minute, I am repeating the points so that you can easily correlate the things. From 1643 to 1715, the ruler of France was King Louis XIV. And his minister Colbert suggested him, why don't we form a company that will trade in the region of East and the Pacific? So, he presented a plan wherein they decided that they will keep their base at Madagascar. And King Louis loved the proposal and the plan. And he established a company called as Campagne des Indes Orientales, also referred as French East India Company. As per the plan, they established their base in Madagascar, but were not successful. Finally, Francis Caron, he led a naval expedition to India, established their first factory at Surat with the help of Aurangzeb. Later on, they established their factory at Masulipattnam, but it was retaken back by whom? By the Dutch East India Company. Sher Khan Lodi, who was the governor of Valaikondapuram, also around the region of Bijapur, he assisted Francois Martin in establishing the region of Pondicherry, and France got settled in Pondicherry. After some time, they also established their factories at Chandranagar and Hooghly in Bengal. Here, they were being assisted by Shaista Khan, one of the governors of the Mughals, specifically Aurangzeb. Okay? Dutch East India Company attacked Pondicherry and acquired it from them. One more important fact, Francois Martin was the first governor of specifically France and India. So he can be considered as the first French governor. So Pondicherry was being acquired by Dutch East India Company. But in 1697, there was a treaty which is called as Treaty of Ryswick, which is located in Netherlands. As per this treaty, it is said that Pondicherry was given back to whom? It was given back specifically to the French East India Company. Are the points clear now? Okay. I will give you 2 questions in the end, and please answer these questions in the comment section. Okay. Anyone who is having a glance at the board. So first of all, he'll put his hands on the head and say, what kind of confusion is this? Isn't that so? So my friends, I will suggest you, please have a pen and paper along with you. I'll make you understand things in a simplistic format. Okay, like this is not just about this, just watch this. Okay, so until and unless you try to understand things in a simplistic format, if you do not listen to me patiently, I'm pretty sure you won't be understanding this. To understand this dynamics, please have a pen and paper along with you, and I will go gradually for easier understanding of the concept. Okay. Now let's begin with the Carnatic Wars, also referred as Anglo-French Wars. Now, before I speak about the Anglo-French Wars for the next 2 minutes, let me tell you how the other competitors were being wiped out from India. Okay. Around 1661, Portuguese princess Catherine Braganza, she was being married to Prince Charles II of England. And the entire region of Bombay was given in a dowry of just rupees 1 to Prince Charles II. And Prince Charles II gave the region of Bombay to English East India Company at £10 per annum. So Portuguese were just confined to the region of Goa. Simple words, they are out of the competition. Clear? 3 competitors are left now. English East India Company, Dutch East India Company, and French East India Company. Now what happens with the Dutch? As discussed previously, Dutch initially had established their permanent settlement in the region of Indonesia, Ambayona Islands. Okay. Now, specifically speaking, they established their first factory in India at Masulipattnam. And with the passage of time, they started establishing factories on the east and the west coast of India. They had also established Fort Galleria. So, what happened? Dutch East India Company, they had different intentions. They wanted to have a monopoly over the trade in the region of Malabar. And this was not liked by the ruler of Travancore, Martanda Ji. So obviously, skirmishes are going to take place between both of them. Correct? So at that time, Dutch governor, he asked Martanda that I want to establish monopoly over this region. And I don't want any kind of political or military interference from the side of Martanda. To which Martanda denied. Correct? Now, this Dutch governor dispatched an admiral whose name was de Lannoy. And de Lannoy, he created an alliance with small kingdoms such as the kingdom of Kayakulam, Kollam, and so on against Martanda. But Martanda had an able army which consisted of infantry, cavalry, and expert naval divers referred as Muvakkars. In that case, the head of the army of Martanda Ji was Ramayan Dalava, the military commander. So in a very exemplary manner, it is said that the Dutch East India Company was being defeated. And finally, they were being driven out of India, and they got settled in the region of Indonesia till 1942. So again, this is how Dutch was out of the game. Portuguese is already out of the game. Dutch now is out of the game. Okay. 2 competitors left in India. Correct? English East India Company and French East India Company. Specifically speaking, English East India Company and French East India Company, or Britain and France, they were not only fighting in India, They were fighting throughout the world for colonies. Throughout the world. Hence, the battle between Britain and France is always referred as a global war. Why a global war? Because they are fighting throughout the world. Okay. Now, where is Carnatic? Carnatic, it's a region between Bay of Bengal and Eastern Ghats. And specifically, both French East India Company and English East India Company had a sway over these regions. How? As I've told you, specifically, French East India Company had their permanent settlement in Pondicherry and Karikal, located in southern part of India. And by now, Francis Day, he had established Fort St. George in Madras. Later on, Fort St. David was being created at Cuddalore. So, simple words, in the region of Pondicherry and Karikal, who are there? French East India Company. And in the region, specifically, Fort St. George and secondly, Fort St. David. Both of them belong to English East India Company. Fort St. George in Madras, Fort St. David in Cuddalore. All of them, all these territories are located in southern part of India. Some of them belong to French East India Company. Some of them belong to English East India Company. Some or the other day, both will come face to face. Both will fight battles with each other. Meanwhile, around 1740s, Austrian War of Succession was going on in Europe. Who will sit on the throne of Austria? And in such a situation, Britain and France were on opposite sides in Europe. Around 1745, in India, things got changed. Now, battle was going on in Europe. Please understand this. In Austrian War of Succession, that who will sit on the throne of Austria, Britain and France both were on opposite sides in Europe. Clear? And that had its repercussions in India. How? In 1745, the French ships were being attacked by the ships of English East India Company. And at that time, the French governor was Dupleix. Dupleix immediately informs the governor of Mauritius, whose name was Bourdouanis. As soon as Bourdouanis comes to know about this, he attacks Fort St. George, which was being held by English East India Company. If you remember English East India Company, we have talked about different presidencies. So Fort St. George, which was being constructed by Francis Day. Corrected? So at this point of time, Bourdouanis, he attacked Fort St. George, which was under English East India Company. True? So what happens? The battle begins here now. Specifically, this initiated in the form of First Carnatic War, which was fought between 1746 to 48. Okay. Now what happened? English East India Company, now they asked the ruler of Arcot, the ruler of Carnatic, Anwar Uddin Khan for help. Okay. I'll repeat the points again. Pay attention carefully. Austrian War of Succession was going on in Europe. Britain and France were opposite to each other. Okay. They had it, like the war had its repercussions in India. Around 1740s, precisely 1745, the fleet of ships of English East India Company attacked the French ships. And from here initiated the First Anglo-French War or the Carnatic War. What happened here now specifically? Dupleix, he was a French governor in India. He immediately informs this to Bourdouanis. He was the governor of Mauritius. He sent fleet of ships and they attacked Fort St. George, which was being held by English East India Company. Now, English East India Company, it seeks help from Anwar Uddin Khan. Okay, that please help us against whom? Against the French. So, specifically, French comes to know about this, that they are taking help from Anwaruddin Khan. Now, French were also diplomatic. Dupleix is known for his diplomacy. Okay? I think the word both are like Dupleix and diplomacy. These are synonymous. Like, these are not actually synonymous. But with the word Dupleix comes the word diplomacy. Okay? So what happened? This person comes to know that Anwaruddin Khan has been approached by English East India Company for help. Dupleix goes to Anwaruddin Khan and says that, do not listen to English East India Company. We are fighting against English East India Company. We will acquire the entire region of Madras from them and we will give it to you. Anwaruddin Khan was very happy about this. Anwaruddin Khan said, I am not supporting either of you. Neither I am supporting French East India Company, nor I am supporting English East India Company. In fact, he was being instigated by whom? French East India Company. Okay. Things got okay. Now, Anwaruddin Khan, it is said that Dupleix broke his promise. What did he promise? I will take the region of Madras, entire region of Madras, and give it to you. So Dupleix broke his promise. He did not give the region of Madras to whom? Specifically this person, Anwaruddin. Now, Anwaruddin, with 10,000 soldiers, he attacked the French East India Company's troops. There were only 1,000 soldiers of French East India Company. So, 1,000 soldiers of French East India Company, they fought a battle of Santhom on the banks of river Adayar against Anwaruddin Khan, whose army consisted of 10,000. In this battle, Anwaruddin Khan had to face a humiliating defeat. And Anwaruddin Khan realized one thing. It is not possible to defeat the French East India Company without the support of English East India Company. Okay? And finally, the First Anglo-Carnatic War or the First Anglo-French War ended with Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle between Britain and France. As per this treaty, what happened? Louisbourg in Canada was given back to whom? France. And in India, Port St. George was written back to English East India Company. I've told you, Bourdouanis, he has captured the Fort St. George. So in India, French East India Company gave Fort St. George back to English East India Company. And in Canada, Louisbourg was being given back to France. So this is nothing but Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle and the First Carnatic War. Is it clear? I hope I have made things clear in a very systematic format and in a very step-by-step format. Okay? Now let's understand Second Anglo-Carnatic War. Here you have to pay proper attention. Okay? Because there are many characters here. Pay attention carefully. Have a pen and paper along with you so that you can note down the important points. As discussed previously, as a part of Mughal administration, the Mughal administration was divided into different subas, right from the time of Akbar. Okay, they were divided into suba, that is provinces. Provinces were further divided into districts, referred as sarkar. So these subas were being headed by subedar or the governors. And after Aurangzeb, it is said that the power of Mughals started declining precisely during the time of later Mughal rulers. So there were many states which started declaring their independence. And they are also referred as successor states. One such successor state was Hyderabad. Okay. So, and at that time, the governor of Hyderabad was Asaf Jah. Asaf Jah declared himself as independent. And there was a deputy governor, okay, whose name was Muhammad Sayyid. So what happened? Asaf Jah, he declared himself as Nizam of Hyderabad. Okay? And he appointed Muhammad Sayyid as the ruler of Carnatic. So in the region of Hyderabad, who was ruling? Asaf Jah. Okay? And in the region of Carnatic, Asaf Jah had asked whom to rule? He had asked Muhammad Sayyid to rule. And he had given the title of Sadat Ullah Khan to Muhammad Sayyid. Clear? So Sadatullah Khan, so there was a dynasty which is called as Nawayat dynasty. So Nawayat dynasty was ruling in the region of Carnatic, and in the region of Hyderabad, Asaf Jah was there. Asaf Jah, he's also called as Nizam ul Mulk. Okay? Now let's understand in a step-by-step manner. Asaf Jah, Hyderabad. Nawayat dynasty, Carnatic. Asaf Jah, Nizam of Hyderabad. Nawab of Carnatic, Sadat Ullah Khan. That is in the region like Nawayat dynasty. Now, Sadat Ullah Khan, he had a brother, okay, whose name was Ghulam Ali. And Ghulam Ali had a son named as Dost Ali. Sadat Ullah Khan, he did not had any son. Okay? Sadatullah Khan, who was chosen as the Nawab by Asaf Jah of the Nawab or the ruler of Carnatic or the Nawayat dynasty, he did not had any son. He had a brother whose name was Ghulam Ali. Ghulam Ali had a son named as Dost Ali. And since Sadatullah Khan did not had any son, what happened? He chose Dost Ali as his successor. Dost Ali was son of his brother. Okay? Now Dost Ali, he succeeded the throne after the death of his uncle Sadatullah Khan. Now Dost Ali, specifically, it is said that Dost Ali, Chanda Sahib was one of the relatives of Dost Ali. And he had a son named as Safdar Khan. Okay. So what happened? After the death of Dost Ali, who succeeded to the throne, Safdar Khan succeeded through the throne. Okay. Now please understand this. Please do not get confused. I am going in a step-by-step manner. I will be repeating the points. Do not worry about this. Dost Ali died. He was succeeded by his son Safdar Ali Khan. Now Safdar Ali Khan was being killed by his brother-in-law whose name was Murtuza. Okay? And when he died, what happened? Asaf Jah, he chose the son of Safdar Ali Khan as his successor. He was Sadat Ali Khan too. And he was just a minor, a small boy. So what happened? Asaf Jah chose a person called as Anwaruddin Khan. While back we have discussed about him as his regent. So he was a minor who was running his rule and Anwaruddin Khan was acting as his regent. Okay. Meanwhile, what happened to the relative of Dost Ali, Chanda Sahib? Chanda Sahib, he was being imprisoned by the Marathas. Is it clear? Please understand this dynamic. I can understand to an extent it is a bit confusing, but you have to understand this to understand Second Carnatic War. I will repeat the point again within short. Okay, pay attention carefully. After Aurangzeb, there were many successor states who started declaring their independence. One such successor state was Hyderabad, and Nizam of Hyderabad was Asaf Jah. Asaf Jah, he declared his independence and assumed the title Nizam ul Mulk. He appointed the deputy governor as the Nawab of Carnatic. Carnatic, it is located between Eastern Ghats and Bay of Bengal. And in the region of Carnatic, a dynasty was created which is referred as Nawayat dynasty. And specifically, who was chosen the ruler? The ruler was Muhammad Sayyid, who was referred as Sadat Ullah Khan. Okay. Now Saadat Ullah Khan, he did not had any son. He had a brother whose name was specifically Ghulam Ali. Ghulam Ali had a son named as Dost Ali. So Saadat Ullah Khan, after his death, chose, specifically, he chose a successor, whom? Dost Ali. Okay. So Dost Ali succeeded to the throne of Navayad dynasty after the death of his uncle Saadatullah Khan. Dost Ali had a relative, Chanda Sahib, and Safdar Ali Khan was his son. After his death, Safdar Ali Khan succeeded. Safdar Ali Khan was killed by his own brother-in-law, Murtuza. So when he died, throne became vacant. So what did Asaf Jah do? Asaf Jah, he chose Saadat Ullah Khan II, the minor son of Safdar Ali Khan, as the successor, and appointed Anwaruddin Khan as the regent of Saadat Ullah Khan. Clear? Now what happened? Saadat Ullah Khan, as I've told you, he was a minor. He was also being killed by Murtuza. So both of them are being killed. And when both of them have been killed, what happened? At this particular point of time, Anwaruddin Khan, who is the regent now became the Nawab of Carnatic. Clear? You have to understand this dynamics. So Anwaruddin Khan, he became the Nawab of Carnatic. Meanwhile, what happened? Chanda Sahib, who was taken as a prisoner by the Marathas, was being released. He was being taken as a prisoner by Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj. He was being released. And when he came to Carnatic, he expected that he will sit on the throne because he is relative of Dost Ali. And what does he see? A person named as Anwaruddin Khan is sitting on the throne. So what happens? Obviously, there is going to be animosity between both of them, Anwaruddin Khan and Chanda Sahib. Correct? So he has become the Nawab and he is the contender to the throne of Navayad dynasty. That is the Nawab of Carnatic. Hope you understood till here. Now let's understand here. Asaf Jah, Nizam of Hyderabad. He died in 1748. Now when he died in 1748, it is said that his elder son was Nasir Jung. Okay. And Asaf Jah was maternal grandfather of Muzaffar Jung. It is said that his elder son, Nasir Jung, he has tried to kill his own father previously, Asaf Jah. Okay. He has tried to kill his own father. So Asaf Jah did not wanted his son Nasir Jung to become the ruler. So what did Asaf Jah do? Asaf Jah chose his, he chose Muzaffar Jung as his successor, his grandson as his successor. Clear? So what happened? In 1748, what happens? In 1748, this person dies. He is expecting the throne, but he does not get the throne. Who gets the throne? Muzaffar Jung. Correct? So both of them will become enemy now. Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung. Did you understand? Now understand the dynamics here. Pay attention carefully. Here, Anwaruddin Khan is the Nawab of Carnatic. And who is expecting the throne? Chanda Sahib. Both of them have become enemies. Here, Muzaffar Jung becomes the Nizam of Hyderabad, or he has been declared as the Nizam of Hyderabad as a successor. But who is expecting this? Nasir Jung. Animosity between both of them. Now, what will happen in that case? Okay. In very simple words, correct. Nasir Jung, he will form an alliance with whom? Nasir Jung will form an alliance with Anwaruddin Khan, because Anwaruddin Khan had said Nasir Jung that kill him. And when Anwaruddin Khan, he forms an alliance with Nasir Jung, obviously Muzaffar Jung will form an alliance with whom? Chanda Sahib. Clear? So now what happens here? Anwaruddin Khan and Nasir Jung in one team. Okay. Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung in the second team. Just we have studied a while back, First Anglo-Carnatic War, if you remember. What happened? French East India Company had defeated Anwaruddin Khan. And when French East India Company has defeated Anwaruddin Khan, what will happen? French is going to side this team. And when French will side this team, automatically the France's enemy, Britain, it will side with the other team. This is how the team got distributed now. Clear? So, in one team, Chanda Sahib, Muzaffar Jung and French East India Company. Chanda Sahib, he wants to become the Nawab of Arcot or Nawab of Carnatic. Muzaffar Jung, he wants to become Nizam of Hyderabad, and French East India Company supporting both of them. Here again, same thing. Anwaruddin Khan wants to become Nawab of Arcot. He is Nawab of Arcot. He wants to protect his throne. Okay? And Nasir Jung, he wants to become the Nizam of Hyderabad. Both of them are supported by English East India Company. Clear till here? Yes. Please do not get confused, my friends, okay? Now, let's understand things again in detail. Now, what happens? Chanda Sahib, he's very desperate to acquire the region of Carnatic at any cost. So, what happens? With the support of French East India Company, Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung, they attacked the region of Arcot. They attacked the region of Carnatic, and the Nawab here is Anwaruddin Khan. Now, Anwaruddin Khan knew one thing, that if these people attack the capital Arcot, I won't be able to protect this region. So what happens here? Specifically speaking, it is said that they both attack Anwaruddin Khan. At this time, Anwaruddin Khan with his army meets the combined army of Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung at a place called as Ambur. And there is Battle of Ambur, which is fought in 1748, in which Anwaruddin Khan gets killed. And when Anwaruddin Khan gets killed, what happens? Chanda Sahib, who was aspiring to become the Nawab of Carnatic, his dream comes true. He became so happy with the French East India Company that he gifted 80 villages to French East India Company around the region of Pondicherry. So what is the score now? 1-0. Okay. Because this person, Anwaruddin Khan, is gone. Now what happens? Anwaruddin Khan is gone. He is dead. Now Anwaruddin Khan had a son named as Wallaja. So Nasir Jung and English East India Company, both of them convinced Wallaja that you cannot be shattered at this point of time, although Chanda Sahib is sitting on the throne of Carnatic. At any cost, your father, he was the Nawab of Carnatic. And it is your responsibility, it is your duty to acquire the throne of your father back from whom? Chanda Sahib. And we will support you in this. So Wallaja, a new member added into the team. Okay? He was the son of Anwaruddin Khan. Hope you're understanding things, okay? Now what happened further? As soon as these people came to know about a new member in the team, what happened? Now, around 1750, two battles were fought. And both these battles were fought in Tiruvadi, which is located in Tamil Nadu. Okay. At that point of time, this person, Wallaja, he was hiding in the Jinji Fort, which is approximately 80 kilometers away from Arcot. He was hiding in the Jinji Fort. Why? Because Jinji Fort, it spreads across 13 kilometers approximately. And the walls of the Jinji Fort are impregnable. They are very strong. But at this particular point of time, specifically speaking, Wallaja, he was successful and he fled away from the fort of Jinji. And when he fled away from the fort of Jinji at this particular point of time, he moved to another fort, which is Trichinapalli. But meanwhile, what happened? Nasir Jung, he died. What is the score now? 2-0. Okay? Nasir Jung, who was aspiring to become Nizam of Hyderabad, he died. So what is the score? 2-0. So Muzaffar Jung now becomes Nizam of Hyderabad. Chanda Sahib, he is the Nawab of Arcot. Simple words, the team of French East India Company is at the scoring edge now. But this is like a cricket match. The match can change any time. Okay, so what happened further? Let's understand. Okay, Muzaffar Jung, who was aspiring to become the specific ruler, at this particular point of time, Muzaffar Jung, he sat on the throne. He became the Nizam of Hyderabad. Anwaruddin Khan, he was aspiring to become the Nawab of Arcot. He became the Nawab of Arcot. Clear? After some time, what happened? These people, French East India Company, although they were successful in supporting their candidates, because Muzaffar Jung, he became so happy that he gave 5 lakh rupees to the French troops and 20 lakh rupees just to Dupleix for his, unprecedented support. Okay. Now, French East India Company, they were diplomatic. Dupleix, diplomatic. He thought that, where is this person Wallaja hiding? Nasir Jung has been killed. Anwaruddin Khan has been killed. But where is this person Wallaja hiding? They come to know that he is hiding in the fort of Trichapalli and he is being supported by English East India Company, precisely Robert Clive. Okay. Meanwhile, what happens specifically? I'll give you another example. Meanwhile, Muzaffar Jung also passed away. Muzaffar Jung, he had fought battles with Afghanistan. Fought battles with Afghans. And that battle is called as Lakira di Palli. Okay. And in that, Muzaffar Jung passed away. So who will become the Nizam of Hyderabad? Younger son of Asaf Jah. As I've told you, Asaf Jah's elder son was Nasir Jung. His younger son was Salabat Jung. So, French East India Company chose Salabat Jung as the Nizam of Hyderabad. Salabat Jung, he gave 4 places to French East India Company. One was Chikakol, that is Srikakulam. Second, Rajamundri. Third, L-4. And the fourth, Mustafa Nagar. Okay. So, Salabat Jung, the younger son of Asaf Jah, now sits on the throne of Nizam of Hyderabad. Now, French, although the score is 2-0 now. Okay. Now, what happens? French East India Company comes to know that Walla Jah, he is hiding in Trichapalli. And at that time, Robert Clive was also along with him. French East India Company goes and surrounds the fort of Trichapalli. Somehow, Robert Clive, and at that time, French East India Company was supported by whom? They were supported by Chanda Sahib, the Nawab of Arcot. Okay. So, at that time, somehow Robert Clive, he moved away from the fort. He escaped from the fort and he comes in the Fort St. David. And he asked the fellow officers there that when all the French troops are, surrounding the fort of Trichapalli, at that time, Chanda Sahib, he has also come to the fort of Trichapalli along with French East India Company. So there is nobody in the Arcot. This is the best time where we should attack the region of Arcot and acquire the region of Arcot. Robert Clive, he took this decision and again the region of Arcot was being attacked and taken away from Chanda Sahib. Score has changed now. Score becomes 1-1. Okay. At this time, Dupleix comes to know about this. Dupleix, he gathers forces. But by now, Robert Clive was successful in acquiring all the major, French possessions. Now, and this, like Dupleix had deployed another forces. M. Astruc, one of the French officer, he died. finally, French East India Company had to surrender, and the score becomes French East India Company 0, English East India Company 2. And English East India Company in the end was successful in Second Anglo-Carnatic War because Dupleix was being called back and he was being replaced by M. Godau as a French governor in India. And finally, there was signing of a treaty which is called as Treaty of Pondicherry. And finally comes Third Battle of Carnatic, which is referred as Battle of Vandy Wash, that we'll study in the coming session. And as per the Battle of Vandy Wash, it is said that French were now just confined to the region of Goa. And there is only one company left in India which will establish its monopoly over entire India. That is English East India Company. My friends, hope the session was interesting. Hope you understood things. Clear? Please answer in the comment section. The first specifically, the region of Pondicherry, which was initially acquired by Dutch, was given back to them as per which treaty? Answer in the comment section. Okay? And second question, specifically, which treaty ended the First Anglo-Carnatic War? Okay? Hope so you understood the Anglo-Carnatic Wars. I understand the second one was a bit lengthy and a bit confusing, but I've tried to, make the things easier in a gradual manner or in the format of a story. Okay, my friends? So, target year 2026, specifically, UPSC IAS English Resolution Plus GS Foundation P2I batch. Okay. So the batch would be closing very soon. And the price is 26,999. Here, there are lots of features of this batch. Specifically, the batch is completely in English language, which will cater to the needs of the aspirants precisely from Southern India and Northeastern India. History, geography, polity, economy, ethics, internal security, science and tech, everything in English. A separate batch for English medium. Okay? And for that, what do you need to do? Please visit the website of StudyIQ. You will get the entire features of the course. And the admissions would be closing 30th of September. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen. I repeat the code Alok Live. Okay, my friends? Hope you understood the Carnatic Wars. Okay, guys, with this, I'll stop my words for the day. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.